This week, 164 new stalls, bringing the total in North America to 52,110 stalls. Now that's different from stations. Each station has a certain number of stalls, but that's basically how it's broken up. But down here in this table, you can see the difference between the two. Pilot Flying J added 1 station this past week. Tesla added 3. Actually, it's more than that, but I didn't see the one that I was looking for. I'll get to that in a second. ChargePoint added 25 stations. It's important to note that ChargePoint records every dispenser as a station. If it's a CPE 250, that's 1 stall per station. If it's a ChargePoint Express Plus, it's 2 stalls per station. And there could be multiple dispensers per actual location. It's just kind of a quirk in the data that ChargePoint uses to enter. I'm not quite sure why they do that. EVgo had 6 stations this past week, which is a good number for them. EV Connect had 5. Let's go ahead and get into the data. The first one I want to mention, even though there isn't any additions, the Mercedes-Benz Charging Hub needs some discussion. The number dropped to 12. They were at 13, and the missing one is Temple, Texas. My brother-in-law frequents this Mercedes-Benz Charging Hub on Interstate 95 in Florence, South Carolina with some regularity. And he said, hey, do you know why the Buc-ee's is not open anymore? I said, no, I don't know. So I looked in PlugShare, and there's this note indicating someone called ChargePoint, and they said the reason it's down is because they're adding 2 new dispensers, and it should be open pretty soon. And you can see now there's 6 available, which is 3 dispensers, so they didn't add them yet. And I don't see anything in the database either showing them added. So ChargePoint was the vendor selected for the Mercedes-Benz Charging Hub. However, there was a press release indicating a pivot to Alphatronics hyperchargers. Now, Temple looks like this. Whoops. It's completely down. All 6 are down, and people are saying it's blocked off for no clear reason. And it is not in this database anymore, nor is it in the ChargePoint app. Completely ripped out. So perhaps what they're doing is they're taking the chargers from here and they're putting in Alphatronics. Maybe at the other locations they're taking all the ChargePoint out and putting in Alphatronics. Maybe they're just taking the ones from one location and moving. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with the Mercedes-Benz Charging Hub. We've had a press release that they're shifting to Alphatronics. We're seeing their stations closed down for expansion, and we're unsure exactly what's going on. So we're going to have to watch this space. It's kind of interesting to see the activity here. Next one is Pilot Flying J. The one they've opened this past week is in Winchester, Virginia. I did a site visit video of there. It's a very nice location on Interstate 81. The next one is Tesla. And you can see 3 here, and the reason why I called them out in the initial introduction is because I know they opened an additional site in Wilson, North Carolina off Interstate 95 that has 20 stalls. It's a very large location that's also paired with 10 Circle K stalls, so it's a very big location for the East Coast of the United States. However, it's not here, and I scoured the data, and it's definitely not here, so it must just not have gotten into the round of updates for the alternative fuels data center, and assumedly we'll see it next week. But there was big fanfare about that site opening, and if you look at the Supercharger website, it does show as open. So hopefully we'll see that next week. Electrify America, I also know, is opening stations. The reason I know is because I visited one in North Carolina, but they don't have anything in the alternative fuels data center. It's very frustrating. Right off Interstate 40 is beautiful. There's 2 pull-through sites, which is really unusual for, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. It's really unusual for Electrify America to have pull-through, but they put in 2 pull-through sites and 4 pull-in sites. I'm going to pull this up real quick. Stand by. Right here. So you can see they've got 2 pull-through sites. And it's immediately off the interstate, and it shares the same property with a Tesla Supercharger station. So really nice location. But it's not in the database. I don't know why they're doing that. If you look at what Electrify America has in the database, which just makes it even more frustrating, they add the one from their partners, but they're not adding their own. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on with our lives here. Next one is ChargePoint. Again, I'm looking at ChargePoint for anything of note. There's a couple of different projects that might start popping up here. One thing that I did notice is this GPM Investments in Weaverville, North Carolina. Last week there was also a GPM Investments in Asheville, North Carolina. GPM Investments operates the Roadrunner convenience store chain, of which is pretty common in the Southeast United States. And I was thinking of tracking them as a CPO independently, but I've decided not. They're just not quite big enough. But they have opened 3 of these in the state of North Carolina just in the past, I'd say, 4 weeks. So let me pull up where these are. This is one of them. The other one is here in Asheville. You can see my Volvo sticking its nose out in each one of these locations. And the third one is in, or it's kind of glitching. Third one is here in Wilmington, North Carolina. All of which are labeled with Fast Charge underneath the Roadrunner convenience store brand operated by GPM Investments. Additionally, this one here in Huntsville, Alabama was kind of interesting, right in downtown Huntsville. Let's take a look at that one real quick. That would be this one right here. 4 stalls, right in downtown Huntsville, Alabama. Next one is EVgo. They opened 6, which is a really good number for them. One of note is this one right here. I'm going to be doing a site visit video of this. I'm not sure. Maybe this weekend, maybe next week. I'm not quite sure when I'm going to be able to fit this in. It's a shopping center in the south end of Charlotte, and the reason why this is of some note is because EVgo actually issued a press release after they opened it, talking about how they're partnering with Regency Centers. However, none of these pictures, ironically enough, are actually the pictures of the location that they opened. So I thought that was a little ironic, but it actually calls out this location and about how it's conveniently located. And it's not really conveniently located. It's not really near any interstates. What it is it's a shopping mall in a rather affluent neighborhood that's always full of people buying crap. And anytime you go to this shopping center, it's just swarmed with cars. It's impossible to get in and out of the place. It's like the week before Christmas, every day of the week. It's a very busy shopping center. Regardless, they've got 4 stalls there and brand new, and they also issued a press release about it. The next one is, pull this back up. The next one is EV Connect. They opened 5. Nothing really to call out here. Similar types of, oh, I'm sorry, there is one. This one right here, I've been noticing a trend where car washes are starting to install DC fast chargers on their property. And this is another one. So it makes sense that if you're going to go get a car wash and you have an electric car, it'd be great to get a car wash at a location where you could also get a charge. And I think car wash operators are starting to catch on to that because you're stationary, because you're going to be vacuuming out the car and wiping down with the microfiber cloth or whatever that they provide. So it makes sense to also have a DC fast charger on property. You could attract electric vehicles to your store and make you have a little bit of a brand distinction. So that seems to be a new trend going on. And there is one honorable mention. Let me show you. This CPO came up a while ago because they installed a whole bunch in New Mexico. Now, they just installed 2 in Idaho. So I guess, the reason why these guys caught my attention because they also have stations in West Virginia, which, if anyone knows, is near impossible to get a DC fast charger. But this is one of the few CPOs operating in West Virginia. So they now have West Virginia, New Mexico, and now Idaho. Idaho just opened this past week. So apparently, and someone helped me pronounce the name of this CPO, Enelix something, is targeting very deep charging deserts and trying to get some kind of charging going there. So kudos to them. Thanks for watching.